Right. All right. So thank you for being here. First of all, it's we're gonna try to keep this as quick as possible. My stuff works. Want to thank you as we start. For some of you, your very first time coming to confirmation. For those of you you're in 8th graders, you're like ready to go, and you're like, this is our last year. And so want to thank you. Want to thank you for the ways that you helped to work and develop your kids, and how it's a great privilege and an honor to be able to be with them in this journey of middle school, which I think is so fun because as you get all the attitude and all the other stuff that comes along with it, you also get these like plateaus that open up. It's like they hear something for the first time that you said 1,000 times, and it's like a whole new vista opens up in their world as they're maturing and as their brain changes. And it's a really fun and privileged time to be with kids. So that being said, one of the things I also want to do as we navigate this is I want you to get to know each other a little bit more. And so let's take just a quick like 7 minutes. We're gonna have you kind of go around the table, introduce yourself to the folks that you're sitting around, and what's your name, what do you do for work or at home, or what's your career or whatever that might be. What is your absolute favorite thing about your kids? Sometimes I know this happens in parent groups. We can get into the rah, 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 about our kids, right? And while that is true, we have that about them, and there's like some collegiality that you find and commonality you find with other parents. I think it's helpful sometimes to also talk about what you find as their absolute best thing. Like, you love your kid because this, and if they don't know that, you should also tell them that. And then, what's an adventure or a goal that you have not yet accomplished? What's something in your life as you are setting out, thinking through, what's something you want to get to that you're thinking through that you want to accomplish? So let's take 7 quick minutes, and we're just going to go around the table so you guys can meet each other. You're only at table 2, so you might want to like migrate over here or one way or another. But otherwise, you can do that. And I'll call you back together to keep the time, so don't worry about it. All right? Ready? Go. Good time, bad
I guess my Jamie, our son's Ian, 7th grade. I work at the elementary school in Plain City, secretary admin. And then in terms of Andrew, he's just a fun, loving, funny kid. Thanks, friends. And an adventure.
I work for a startup.
Yeah, more travel. That works.
I'm Erica Heiss. My son is Christian. He's going to 6th grade. I am an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist. So I basically shoot stories of the opportunity. Absolute thing. Christian is extremely competitive. So he sometimes has a very hard outer shell, but he's got a very soft, caring spirit that when you can like tap into it, and you see these glimpses. He does listen. He is a good kid. And then adventure or goals. Probably along the travel lines. Our goal is to go to Hawaii. Yes, exactly. We're kind of excited.
Yeah. Well, it's sad we never
Yeah. No, we'll travel someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sad. Yeah.
I asked.
Well, are we going this way?
I guess so.
Yeah, this is my turn. I'm Doug, and for work, I am currently doing nothing. I took some time off in October to take care of my parents. Just recently passed. So at some point I'll get back into it. But I was formerly a consultant in engineering. And I have a daughter, Vivian, who is in 8th grade, and a son, Ben, who is in 6th grade.
Two of them.
Yeah, so they're both in middle school together. Vivian's getting a little bit of a late start for confirmation. But my favorite thing about both of them is they're both very sociable and quick, which is fun.
It's good because nowadays they're like so in their phone and sometimes it's like, how do they know how to talk to people? It's like, yeah. So
They're
that's
still
good,
like
you
that.
know,
They're
but,
still like
yeah, well, some don't know how to talk to people,
Yeah.
you know, so that's, yeah.
Yeah, and they're both very busy outside of school. Vivian's in cheerleading and Ben is in football. That keeps us hopping. And then an adventure or goal I haven't accomplished. Same with all you guys. Travel. I want to hopefully teach my kids to scuba dive and go somewhere like Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of freaks me out. Yeah. I'd be afraid a shark would come up on me.
Yeah, that's.
When we scuba dive or snorkel, I just kept just kind of doing this.
Being so far underwater, right? Hold on to that regulator.
Yeah.
You know, tight it
Yeah.
up and she's like, oh, it's not going
How deep is it?
like 25 feet.
Okay.
So you can do it uncertified, I think.
All right, 2 more minutes, so make sure everybody has a chance to share.
You want to do the real thing?
I've been 100.
Yeah, I don't want to do the training.
Do or no?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Paula. I'm a retired nurse, so. Campbell is head He's about to
Right.
She's just speaking of Spanish, she's fun. And would be. I just watched my everything.
All about accountability.
I know it all.
That's a good one.
I'm still working on my scrapbook from my honeymoon 20 years
Yeah,
ago.
right.
Oh, that's right. I feel like she my purse.
There
and,
is
yeah,
a
my
small
purse
shell
fell.
there, and then there's a piece of paper. That's just to make sure that you have everything. That's more what happened.
Yeah, well, that was my goal, but I haven't started yet.
I just wanted to like photo books for my husband, like, oh, Father's Day. I was like, oh, this was so easy. Like, this is what we should do to like each year.
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll just do this year, do one from previous, and eventually we'll get photo.
Yeah, I did.
My daughter's now 14. That's higher.
Environmental. and so-
I used to do that.
Yeah.
Looks like we have
You
giants.
take silly pictures of their.
I know.
Yeah, she takes pictures.
Brian, what firm are you with? Oh, yeah. Yes. Yep.
All right, let's bring it in.
Oh, really?
It's good to hear the holy commotion happening, and I hope you have the opportunity to get to know each other more and more as the year comes on. It's great for our kids, and it's great for our church that you all know each other and get to know each other. Let's start off with a few changes for those of you who are new to this show. We're going to do a few things that are new this year. One, asking no phones on Mondays. That we tried to have them put away, that did not work. And so the policy will be, we just ask that you leave them at home, and otherwise we'll collect them in a basket and they can get them at the end. If it becomes a problem, we'll talk to you about it. We hope that that problem can be solved at home. Shouldn't be a big issue. I feel like kids know how to deal with their phones now a little bit more than ever before. But we're just not gonna have phones. We have workbooks. They're not here yet, but we have workbooks that we're gonna be doing this year. And those workbooks will go back and forth. They'll be a part of our plan here. It's great. If you got a little drawstring bag at home, you can get these on Amazon for nothing. And you can just put the book, all your Bible, a pen, all the stuff that they might need in this little drawstring bag. If you really need a drawstring bag, you can probably take one of these. We'll find some replacements for them. But if you want to put a confirmation bag together, like you have a soccer bag, a basketball bag, whatever you need, that'd be much easier because we'll be in and out of these books this year more so than we were last year, where we were just kind of reading the book. This is an actual workbook, so it'll go home. I want to encourage you when the workbook goes home that you take a chance to look at it, talk to them more. We'll have a vicar with us this year. If you haven't heard, the vicar will be with us for 2 years. A vicar is somebody who's learning to be a pastor. They've done a couple years of seminary work. Now they're going to take it to the next level, and they're going to be a student here and learn kind of like an intern does, except for the church has interns that are at an earlier level in their career. So we have interns and vicars, and the vicar is the proper title for an intern at the church. So Vicar Jenny will be with us, and she'll be with us for 2 years. Also, Miss Kaylee's going to be here, and having the 3 of us will enable us to do 8th grade pullouts this year. And that'll be the opportunity for us to take out the 8th graders, deal with them about the big issues that they were having or thinking through around faith, and also start talking more about our confirmation day. So those are some of the big changes that we will have it as we move forward. For those of you who are familiar with this, want to get that out of the way right away. As we start to talk about your kids and start to think about your kids, we want to start to talk more about the wholeness wheel. I've shown this before. I show it kind of every year because I think it's really important. It's a really important thing for us to keep in mind as parents. Oftentimes, we like to gravitate towards either one of 2 ditches, right? The things that they're really good at, right? If they're really good at something, you take them and you let them go and excel with it, right? You love to see them excel, and you do things to help them. So if they're really good at math, you got them on all these math programs that they can do at fun at home or soccer or whatever that might be. We're really good at that. We also are really good at heading off problems. That's the other side. If they're really bad at something, we love to nag and get after them about it and say, like, you need to start your reading. You need to do your 20 minutes of reading. You got to be on your reading. You got to get your chores done today. You're not doing your piano, whatever that might be. And we kind of miss out in the middle. We end up being people who overfunction on 2 sides and miss out on the middle. And this is something I want you to start to think about as your kid is a wholeness wheel. If you haven't seen this before, it's kind of thinking through the wheel as an entire person, right? So as an entire person, how do we help to build and grow them? So we want to grow them in their physical nature. We want to make sure that they're working out, that their body's developing in the right way. We take them to a yearly physical every year. We take them to a physical before sports. We want to make sure that they can do it without pulling a muscle or hurting themselves. We're concerned about like their social dynamics and who are they talking to? Who are you eating school lunch with? Who are your friends? Are those good friends or not good friends, right? Environmental, what's everything around them? Financial, we want to talk about how are they learning about financial movements? Spiritual, that's one of our areas here. Emotional, intellectual, going to school, all these things we emphasize. And when you look at the whole wheel, it can get overwhelming, right? And so as we start to think about this as parents, we start to think we get overwhelmed and we move into what I like to call the culture of the expert. We want to just send them somewhere so that they can learn and grow. This is starting to become really prevalent in areas of around Dublin, Powell, Hilliard. This is really prevalent around this area. We like as parents just to send them away so that they can learn and grow. We know and acknowledge that they need it. It's hard for us to engage it because I think we get overwhelmed with so many things that are going on in our lives and in the lives of our kids. I had this opportunity to sit with the Director of Student Wellbeing here in Dublin, and also I talked to the Director of Student Wellbeing in Poland, Tangi, and they find exactly the same things when it comes to our kids' surveys. This is the stuff that they're dealing with in their schools. When they fill out the survey every year, whatever it's called. They get the results back, and these are the things that come up. Number one, negative self-talk. Eighth graders in particular, girls, right? We're seeing the research is continuing to bear this out. And if you haven't read some of this, it's really important stuff, especially around social media. The negative self-talk is just skyrocketing. And as a part of that, we're seeing in our Nationwide Children's Hospital and other places, we're seeing more self-harm incidents come in every year over year over year. They're doing more evaluations at our schools. This is happening in our society, and we're not sure how to deal with it. I think it's overwhelming for a number of us, and so we try to do our best, but it's really what's happening out there. We're finding that our kids that find themselves in that negative self-talk deal with self-isolation, anxiety, that leads to then depression, all sorts of things. As soon as you feel like you're left out of the crowd, as soon as you feel like there's something you've gone wrong. We know that our middle schoolers, their brain chemistry over-indexes mistakes. So what they see as a mistake for you and I, we could get through it a lot quicker. They can't. Physiologically, their brains are not able to function in the same way as an adult brain, which makes sense because it's still developing. They don't have the experiences that we do. They haven't built that resilience yet. And so we're seeing more and more of this as parents. I think we react a little quick. I know I do react a little quick when we see our kids developing or trying to think things through. We're seeing a lot of online bullying. It's sophisticated online bullying. It's not bullying like it used to be, hanging out in the bushes, waiting for them to walk home, kind of bullying, right? Now it's really sophisticated. They'll take a picture at a party. They'll either tag somebody in it that's not invited to the party so that they know that they weren't invited to the party and that all these people are having fun. Or they will Photoshop somebody out, or they'll crop the picture to leave that one person out. It's sophisticated at a lot of levels. We're seeing that happening in the gaming, e-gaming as well. There's bullying where groups will join up against one certain kid and basically go after them all the time when they come online. Again, we're seeing a higher rate of suicidal ideation. This isn't like I'm saying this because I think this. This is saying this because I talked to these people and they said our numbers are going up. We're doing more evaluations every year. If you talk to somebody at Children's Nationwide, there is somebody that comes into the ER every day with a suicide attempt. That's in Columbus, right? That's in the Dublin area. And we are not, just because we're a little bit away, that doesn't mean that we are not having this. This is our school districts dealing with this and trying to navigate it. That's why you're probably getting tons of information about it, because it continues to be a problem. And it's one that I want us to take on at a spiritual level too. That's why I named it. What we do here is we deal with all sorts of things, and we want our program to help form what I call a circle of resilience. So most kids need several circles of resilience. What do I mean by that? They need several groups that say to them that you are accepted. That can be their chess club, their neighborhood friends. That can be their church group. That can be a group of kids that they hang out online, that as long as it's a safe setting, right? They need all of these sorts of circles so that when one of those circles falls apart, because if you've over-indexed into soccer, or if you've over-indexed into chess club, and then all of a sudden they are no longer a good chess player or they get injured, that resilience, that can fall away. That circle can fall away. They need another one to catch them. They need a school friend. They need a church friend. They need something like that to catch them. So as parents, we try to strive to make them in their circles of resilience have several groupings of friends. We want them to have all sorts of different friends that they can go and be themselves with. And so if one doesn't work, their neighborhood, for whatever reason, gets in a fight. Ours did last night. I thought World War III was busting out in the middle at 9 o'clock at night. Why? We were all fighting over ghosts in the graveyard. It was a deal, right? And never talking to each other again till today. But but you see how this can happen, right? And they can break apart, and but they know that they have other friends, and we want to make sure that that self-isolation and anxiety, that place, they know they can go to another place. Church is going to always be a place. You're never going to get cut from the team. You always make it here. You're never going to be not smart enough, not fast enough, not strong enough to be a member of this church. And so not only here in confirmation, but as they grow into the senior high level, we want to continue to develop that so that they can come, have friends, have that added barrier of protection as they're growing up in a society that's somewhat dangerous. So here's the 3 goals of confirmation that we want to talk about. 1, we want our kids to grow. We desire kids to grow in their faith and be followers of the Word of God. We don't expect them to come fully developed. We don't want them to come fully developed. We want them to come and think about things that are really challenging in their life and in their faith life. We want them to come in, and from day 1 to day end, we have the opportunity to see them grow into different people. Sometimes they can acknowledge that growth, sometimes they can't, but you can see it as they come and think through that. We want them to know. That and better understand that the ways of faith and their community here at Prince of Peace. Sometimes our kids come in and they're like, what are we doing in worship? I went to my buddy's friend, it was way cooler. Like, we just had rock band and laser lights, and it was amazing, right? And they love it. We don't want to like say that's bad. We want them to not be angry at other kids for worshiping God or worshiping in their own ways. What we want them to do is to learn why we do what we do, to anchor them in self-knowledge so that they're aware of what's happening and why we do it. Not to say that we're doing this better than everyone else, and so you should not like them and push them away. I know that happens at other churches. You know, they oftentimes will mock us to be a very old style of worship and things like that. I don't want to get engaged in that. It's not helpful, and it's not a place that I want. All of our work will be to help them self-understand more about what we're doing, who is God, how do we understand God here in this place, so that they can grow and learn too about how other churches and other places, which is what we're going to be doing next year. And we can talk about that down the line. Want them to show, like, it's good that they come here. It's good that they learn more here, but I want them to go out and to do something with that knowledge and to be something. So we try to incorporate a few service projects in our activities, things that they can do here and take out there. We have notes. Hopefully some of you got a Valentine last year, right? Because as parents, you don't get very many Valentines from your kids anymore, especially in middle school. We want them to do different activities and think through how they can show out their faith life. And we talk about that. We talk about what does it mean to be a little different than everybody else because of our following of Jesus, right? And how that looks in their life. So with these 3 elements, that's what we head into our confirmation program. And this is how we want to be. Confirmation itself is kind of a funny word, but we talk about how we are open to the Holy Spirit moving in our lives and lives around us. That we believe that the Holy Spirit is at work in this world. Sometimes we can see it very evidently. Sometimes we can. We are blessed by that Spirit and empowered to use our gifts to serve God. Again, a little bit more about what we did. And then we are witnesses to Jesus, that we've come to know him, and through him, our faith, we can share our experience with him and those around us. We're missionaries, ambassadors of the good news, known not by our brokenness or our faults, but by God's grace and mercy. And ultimately, that's the goal this year. This 3rd line of learning more about the small catechism is what we want our kids to know. That they are good enough, that they are smart enough, that they are strong enough, that they are able to do a lot more than they think they are. They are capable of a lot more. And that just because we screw up, that's not how we're known. We're known by God's grace, mercy. Wow. So let's talk a little bit about what the weekly schedule will look like. We meet on Monday nights. On Monday nights, we'll gather here in this place. We will have a meal. So this year, I sent that out already. If you haven't filled that out, that would be a great opportunity. What we're asking for is for parents to just do at least 2 slots, which means you can take a whole night. Maybe you're in charge of that meal for that one night, and you can do that whole night. Or you can split up with another family. You're going to do a meal in the fall, a meal in the spring, because it's a lot easier for you to do that. Our hope is that we can fill all the slots. I think it's like 28 slots that we need full. And those who are, when they're not full or if it doesn't work out, we'll find a way to fill them. But we want them to come in and have a meal. Why? We changed confirmation last year because what we noticed was we were not getting the depth of community. It was just very surface level. And our kids, when they moved into high school, were not connected. They were not connected in a way that we were hoping that they would be by the time they get there. So we looked and we were evaluating that. Again, thinking of that circle of resilience, we want them to be friends. We want them to feel comfortable and to come into this place. So our goal then is to try to create a different program that enables us to be able to do more. And so we start off our time with a meal so that they can come in. Some kids eat, some kids don't. But kids come in, they eat dessert and they talk with their friends and they love it, right? And they look forward to it. They're here earlier. Sometimes they're here even like they want to be here right on time so they can sit and talk to their friends. And we had a lot of kids just sitting around the table talking about their day. Again, it's a safe place, another circle of resilience, another place for them to be able to develop and grow and to think things through, right? And so we want to encourage the kids to sit together and do things like that. Not every kid wants to, but you know, I'm a full out extrovert, so I have to make way for my introvert friends. And I understand that after a full day of school, our introverts sometimes need a little space. So 6 o'clock is the meal. Right after that, then we want to get them moving. And so we've brought in an activity, service project, game time. We try to vary those up. So they're playing Gaga Ball because that is the most requested game to play of all time, right? So I knew that if I said Gaga Ball, out they'd go, right? Because they love Gaga Ball and they'll play it all day long. But we try to get them outside in the fall. We try to do things where you can draw with chalk or you can do messages on the blacktop over there so that as kids come into preschool or as people are riding their bikes, they see a hopeful message. It gives them a little smile for the day, right? We want to encourage them to do different things. Again, we do some service projects, get them moving. At the very least, we'd love your kids to be here by 6:30. If they're not going to be here for the meal, we really love to see them here by 6:30 so that they can be part of that. That is really when confirmation gets chugging. And then we'll move, we have about 20 minutes for that. And we move to large group time. So we have our chairs pulled out. This is our opportunity to work through our workbook, our big ideas, what we're going to be doing in that session. That will be led by Vicar Jenny or myself. We lead each of those sessions to talk about what are the big ideas for this week, what are the things that they need to learn and grow. There's a video that goes along with it. It's a good time. And then we have small group time. Now, this is where we need some parent volunteers, and there's several of you who have helped out last year, and hoping you can again this year. If you're thinking that being a parent volunteer here means that you have to like learn all the information about that week and like really generate a bunch of good questions and knowledge about, you know, who are the reformers of the church, right? That is not what I need you to do. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to come in and facilitate discussion with our kids. So in a large group session, it's not a great spot. Not everybody can talk. Not everybody feels comfortable talking. So we break them into smaller groups so that they have the opportunity to share and to think and learn. I'll provide you with the questions even. All you have to do is to be there to help move the things along for our 6th grade boys, keep them in line, and for everyone else, just to help build on their conversation. It's like a facilitator role. If you do that in your daily work, you can do that here. It's quick, it's short, it's a meaningful opportunity to connect with kids. So if you are able to, we have 6 groups, 6 color groups. We might merge a few of them together this year just due to the class sizes. Our 6th grade year is our smallest year out of all 12 grades. And so that might look a little different, but we're going to be navigating that. And if you can help out with that, that's great. I've had a few people say, I would love to do it. I cannot be there every week. That's fine. We're going to try to put together small teams like they do in Sunday school, 3 people that can come in a couple times a month, 1 time a month, have that conversation. What we might do differently this year, and I'm still kind of working on that, maybe not so much with the sixth graders, with the seventh and eighth graders. I think we're gonna switch up and not have a parent in that small group. So that if you are a parent, you're gonna be with somebody else's kids leading and guiding them. Sometimes that shuts down the conversation in a way that we don't want that conversation to shut down. And so if you're thinking, I just don't wanna be with my kid, that's fine. Well, in seventh and eighth grade, I think we're gonna rotate that around a little bit more. Sixth grade's a little different. If you have a sixth grader or had a sixth grader, they're just in a different space until they get towards the end of the year. So we actually gender those, so they have a boys and a girls group. In seventh and eighth grade, we mix those because boys and girls in sixth grade are very different. And they blend together better as they get older, but they are very different. And so we want to make sure that those conversations are good and healthy as we move along through that. Then we finish our time off with our prayer walk. So if you have time, I want to encourage you to walk over that. I left those sticky notes up for a reason. And they'll be up every week. That's our graphic for our confirmation. Check out what your kids are praying for, right? These are all those sticky notes are by kids. And they pray for some pretty serious things that are going on in their lives. Maybe they're saying them out loud, maybe they're not. But we just lift them up in prayer. We talk about what the events that are going to be happening for the summer are going to be, or the fall. We have a little time, and this year we'll be closing out our whole time in the Lord's Prayer. You're more than welcome to come in for prayer time if you'd like to and sit in on it. You're more than welcome to be a part of this in any which way that you can. But by 7:30, I will shoot every time. My hope, if we're not out at 7:30, it's because they're not listening. So that's sometimes we have to like pause and say, wow, we're gonna stand here until we get a little quiet. Every once in a while. We had a drink one time last year, and holy cow, it sent the kids off like way they were just gone. Like that day was woo. A little bit of sugar and sent them in a spiral. So that was one day. Yeah, that's the case for that. So we'll pray out. We'll be out of here by 7:30, in by 6, out by 7:30. To do that. Oh, hold on. Before we move on, any questions about the schedule? We're gonna come back to a bunch of this stuff, but just real quick on this stuff. Yeah.
Just planning for the meal wise, how many people?
Yeah, so I have that down on the slide for the meals, but I just wanted I don't remember. I think it's like 45, but I'm not sure. All right, so our next slide, our confirmation program is going to be this Collaborate. And because I'm not smart enough to figure out how to move through and embed the file in there, and because YouTube puts up a ton of ads before every video, this is what Collaborate is.
In the history of confirmation studies, there has rarely arisen a curriculum so visionary, so daring, so utterly noteworthy, a curriculum that forever alters the way confirmation is taught. Collaborate! Adventure! Excitement! Rock-solid theology! You will find it in Collaborate, featuring the revolutionary problem-based learning. But say, what is problem-based learning? Why, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The fully illustrated student handbook frames the problem for each lesson, followed by a delightful animated film that heightens the tension and intrigue created by that problem, which motivates students to bring forth their questions and assumptions as the class tackles the problem head on.
Collaborate uses problem-based learning, which is a pretty innovative approach to confirmation. You present students with a compelling problem, and that allows them to grapple with what they believe and why they believe it. And that means their faith isn't something that's just handed to them. It's something they own.
One of the key components of Collaborate is the use of infographics in the student handbook. These infographics navigate complex information with a highly memorable visual that allows students to quickly grasp some pretty deep theology. The infographics build in a kind of visual muscle memory that helps the student remember each lesson, but also helps the leader build on what the class is learning from week to week.
We know teaching confirmation can be really challenging, which is why the Leader Guide was developed by a team of experienced youth workers who know what you're up against and give you the tools you need. It has in-depth theological backgrounds, questions to start conversation, activities to engage students' bodies and brains, and ideas for extending the lesson beyond the classroom. So whether you have 2 weeks or 20 minutes to plan, you'll have everything you need to lead the week's lesson right at your fingertips.
The Collaborate Lutheran Student Bible is designed specifically for Lutheran teenagers. It's full of engaging content that helps youth unpack the sometimes challenging and at times unexpected verses in the Bible that are part of their faith. This Bible is fully integrated into the Collaborate curriculum, while also serving as an excellent standalone Bible that they'll use for many years.
We developed Collaborate because we believe that confirmation shouldn't just be a rite of passage. It should be an opportunity for students to engage and question and challenge what they believe, because that leads to a faith that's real and relevant and resilient for life.
Collaborate for the confirmation class of today. To order Collaborate or request a free sample, send all correspondence to. The world is that? Got a secret code?
All right, we don't need to know that anymore. Okay, it's weird. So we're gonna be using Collaborate. Collaborate is that workbook. We will not be using the Bible because you already have a Bible. If your kid doesn't have them, we can get you one. But I don't know why, but like different programs have like new Bibles every time. They don't need 50 Bibles. They just need one Bible that they keep their hands on the whole time. So we'll be using that. That workbook will be going back home. And also, if you're not able to make it to class, that workbook can be done at home as well. That can be something that's done in terms of that. We'll talk about that more in attendance. First of all, I want to highlight Shenanigans Weekend. Shenanigans Weekend is a time that we play games and eat sugar. It is not intended to be a huge faith development, but what it is intended to bond our kids together. A lot of science around there that talks about a group to be formed together. It takes them 17 hours to be together. 17 hours. So if we were trying to do that an hour and a half at a time, you can see we wouldn't get there until the spring. And that's not where we want to be. We want to get our group together early. We want to develop them. We want them to have bonds together early. I saw this happen last year. We had a couple class sessions. We went on the retreat. We came back. Those kids who went on the retreat, it was amazing. They came in, started talking. They were formed as a group in a way that we hoped for, right? And so I don't require a lot of things. There's no mandatory things that I'm gonna have for you, but I really want your kids to come and be part of Shenanigans Weekend so that they find and build, again, more friendships. This would be the one time that I would ask you to think about what else they have scheduled and to talk through it as a family, to say, I think it's more important than the one soccer game or the one chess match or that time we're gonna do the readathon that you already have set up, or whatever it might be. Ask for an excuse and join us on Shenanigans Weekend. It's really good for your kids. They'll be really bonded together. It'll help them form that circle of resilience. And it is just a whole lot of fun. We do a lot of games and it's a lot of fun, yeah.
So is the 15th, is that a Friday or a Saturday?
Should be a Friday.
Okay, because it says we'll return on Sunday.
Oh, sorry,
From last year.
that's probably from last year, yeah.
So how are the dates? They leave Friday?
We'll leave Friday night or Friday late afternoon, and I'll need a few carpool folks if you want to drive a van or if you have the ability to drive up there. It's 40 minutes away. It's great. I love it. We're in camp in 40 minutes. And so we'll drive up there, we'll eat supper, we'll hang out, play games, have a campfire. Next day we'll wake up, we'll eat breakfast, we'll play more team building. It's a mixture of like team building games and just flat out fun games. We'll have a rock wall. We do whipped cream races where they try to find the M&M and the big vat of whipped cream. We do all sorts of just really goofy, fun events and activities. They eat too much sugar and they'll come back with a tummy ache by 4 o'clock the next day, to which I hand them off to you. And
Thank you.
and they will sleep that day. I guarantee it, because they stay up really late at night and they have fun. And middle schoolers love to do it. They haven't got anything else going on anyway. So they are. It's a great night, great nights, and want to encourage you.
Are they in like
Cabins.
cabins?
Yep.
So do they need bedding and like all
Yep.
that?
Once
or-
we get closer to that, I'll send that whole
Okay.
information. But it's like going to camp for a night. Like basically, think about it like a sleepover.
Okay.
All they'll need is a sleeping bag and a pillow. The cost is $50. If you can't afford $50, that's fine. Just put it on scholarship. We never ever do a program here for our youth that if they can't pay, they can't go. That with none of our programming is like that, not one. So if finances are tight, if three things hit you all at one time and you just can't pay this up, hit scholarship button. You don't even have to tell me. Just register your kids. That's the important thing. If you don't want to pay online, you don't like doing the credit card, you want to bring a check in, please do that as well. That's all available. You can sign up. I sent the links earlier, so you can sign up to do that. But the most important thing is to get your kids there. We'll get them to get to know each other, and then they kind of grow from there. So that's an important one. Any questions about shenanigans? Yeah.
I think we've talked about this a little bit, but am I able to pick him up for like a 2-hour game Saturday morning and bring him back?
Well, you can pick them up, but probably not come back, right? So once you've left camp, stay away from camp because they don't like people going in and out of camp anytime, really, because that's with all the ways of security concerns now, camp has really changed. You used to kind of be able to come in and out. They don't like that anymore. They want people to be at camp or not be at camp.
What about them coming Saturday morning and?
Yep, you can come and then come home. That's fine too. Yep. Or you can come, spend the night, stay up all night, be sick for the game. Because they're gonna have too much sugar. And it'll be fun. So that's 3 meals: supper, breakfast and lunch, and then we'll head back home by about 4 o'clock. We'll do a big prayer circle and talk about a good start to confirmation. Any other questions about shenanigans weekend? We did initially, if you were at last year, we had it Saturday to Sunday. That was because we tried to get our senior hires. Like none of them wanted to come. That was the thing. None of them. So we're moving it back to Friday to Saturday, so I can be here on Sunday morning. Acolyting in nursery. If you have your one sheet that was handed out by Jocelyn, this is kind of your crib sheet to learn more about what acolyting and nursery work is. We want you to sign up and to think through your schedule every year. Some of you have put forth a schedule to Jocelyn, and that's great. She's using that, and she has scheduled your kids in that time. Some of you have not yet done that. I want to encourage you to think through that on Saturday nights, you might be more open than you are on Sunday morning. That's fine. We have sports on Saturdays. Our kids are at Avery Field. Feels like it takes up my whole day. It wrecks the whole rest of the day, right? Because I get home at like 1 or 2 and I'm like, I don't want to start a project. Anyway, great night, great opportunity. We've learned, go to church. If you go to church that night, right, then you have Sunday is wide open. So if you have not signed up for acolyting on Saturday nights and it works for you and your family, that might be a good option for you. And so Saturday night worship is a great opportunity to do acolyting and to do that. Nursery care is only on Sunday mornings, so don't worry about that. We have paid nursery attendant, you work with them on that. We ask that you send 15 minutes early. None of our kids can drive. You drive them. So if they're here 5 minutes early, it's not because they didn't drive fast enough. And we understand things happen, but about 5 minutes too, if I don't have enough acolytes, I need to go and get some. And so then if you show up, it turns into a whole thing. So if you could please try to be here try to be here by 15 minutes ahead of time. That works out great. Then they can get ready. they're not feeling rushed, kind of running into it. They can ask any questions that they want. Jocelyn's not here today. She's on vacation, but if you have any questions around acolytic scheduling and nursery, talk to Jocelyn. She's more than willing to work your schedules, figure it out in the scheduling program so that it works out for you. Sermon notes. The sermon notes have a new design. Oh, your question? Oh, okay. No, that's okay. Sermon notes, there's a little bit of a new design. The intentionality of sermon notes is not that they check a box off the list, that they've turned in 10 sermon notes. I don't care about that. We're focused on faith development, not homework, right? And so it's not busy work. This is an opportunity for them to read through and to listen to the sermons. What are they getting out of it? That's why we have a parent signature spot. So please, when they hand it to you, don't flip it over and sign it. At the very least, read it. At the very best, talk about what they wrote. What did they hear? What did you hear? Maybe you fill out a sermon note too, and give it to them to sign. Right? This is a way for you to have more conversation with your kids, and that's the whole intentionality around this. Is that we want to develop kids not just here but with you as well. Our goal is to try to shoot for 10. If they get 8, they're going to get confirmed. If they get 5, they're going to get confirmed, right? It's not, this is the requirement piece of that does not end up doing anything for faith development other than they will just get their numbers done. What we want from that sermon note, the whole design of it, is so that you and they can have a conversation about faith. And if you're not having that, it's really not super helpful for us, right? We get enough feedback at home about our sermons. We don't need it from the kids as well, right? That's right. And but it is helpful to hear from them. I like always hearing from them. We'll talk more about this with the kids. And on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we'll have them come in and we'll play a sermon from MLK Jr. And they'll do a sermon note. So what they heard, they'll bring that home that day. Because a lot of people don't know that he was a preacher, which is surprising to me. But he has a lot of really great sermons. And so that's what we're going to do in January, Martin Luther King Day. Attendance. If you miss a week, we're going to ask that you do the homework book at home as a family. Review the pages, come in, bring the questions along with you. Have them write their questions. We don't expect you to have all the answers. You could try to Google it. You could try to work with them, think about it together. That's great. That's what that workbook is for. It's kind of a tool that we use to bring things back and forth. We are not going to record or Zoom the sessions. It gets too hard to do the hybrid stuff all the time. And so we're not doing that. So if you feel ill, stay home, right? We want them to stay home if they've got something else. If you can't make a session, our request is like if you are in a club sport and they worship on Monday night or they work out on Monday nights, or you have something that comes up, fall sport, you're in basketball in the winter, right? You can't come to everything, but you can come to this. Our request of you is that you then, instead of coming to confirmation, if that's not working out for you, that you worship regularly. We believe that worship is the #1 place of discipleship in this church. More than confirmation, Sunday school, or anything else that we do, that worship is the #1 place where you grow as a Christian in this church. And so that is the #1 emphasis in what we do, right? So if you can't make it to confirmation, that's, that's just more to add on to it. But at the very bottom, we want to make sure that you attend church regularly. And what that looks like in your family is what that looks like in your family. But we want to encourage you to set that up, put that in your calendar, and stay true to it as you think about it. Again, I want you to start to think about Saturday night as an option on that. One of the things I'm going to add in this year, and I'm not sure how exactly it's going to work, is a boot camp, right? So we're not going to do any of the fun things, but we're going to try to do the educational pieces of it in like a one-day shot. So you can either send your kid, like let's say they're going to miss all the fall Mondays. So we're going to have a boot camp at some point in time. We're going to cover all the sessions. It's going to be basically like that. You're going to sit down. We're going to walk through the sessions together so that they have the opportunity to ask questions, and we do. Not going to do any of the games or any of the fun. There's going to be food around. But we want them, if they aren't able to make it to every session, to do that. Or maybe they're able to make it to every session. You're like, you're not getting this. Let's send you to the boot camp on top of it. That's also a possibility. It's an opportunity to kind of rehear everything if you find like, as you're looking through the workbook, kids not getting it, that's what that is all about. So we're looking at doing those. I'm gonna put some dates on the calendar and see how that works. That way we can have some opportunities. We don't want kids, because they're not coming to confirmation, feel like they can't be confirmed, right? And so we want to try to provide opportunities. We are not breaking the class apart though. That's the one thing that's not happening. We did that in the past. I think that led to, again, our kids being fragmented and not building that friendship group here. We don't expect everybody to be friends, but we want everybody to know each other and to grow together. So we will stay on Monday nights, and then we're going to offer boot camps. Questions about attendance? Meal, we talked a little bit about this already. We have 45 kids, 6 adult leaders, 2 families, or if you want to take a whole night on your own, feel free to do that. People ask, what do you want a meal plan? Last year we had this great innovation. People were taking the opportunity to do that. They were using the titles and they were creating these meals. That was really fun. We don't have as cool of an opportunity. Like, I don't know how you'd make a meal about Martin Luther, right? Or the Reformers or something like that. So you can choose. It can be just very simple. You don't have to make it super crazy. Very basic meals. Kids like them. You can ask your kids, what would you like to have? And some people, go all out. Some people don't. It's up to you. Yes, it's kind of a main course, fruit and veggie, something to drink. But and they like desserts as well. I don't care less whether you bring desserts, but they like them. Let's stay away from plastic water bottles this year. They crinkle them and drive me insane. I'm trying to teach because it's like crinkle, 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 crinkle. So let's stay away from plastic water bottles. We got pitchers. We'll fill them up. They can have cups of water all day and all night. They don't need a plastic water bottle. Because then they play the tippy game and it's like the whole thing. The whole thing. But other than that, try to keep it healthy or, we have a sign up sheet on there. If you sign up and you know what you're going to do that day, like let's say you're going to do pizza, let's say you're going to bring Raising Cane's, or you're going to do sandwiches, or you're going to do butter noodles, whatever it's going to be, right? Just try to put that on the comment sheet on the email I sent out on that sign up sheet. So 8th grader parents, these are your important dates. You can have them now. I will put that up there and I'll come back to it if you need it. You can take a picture of it. These are really, really important dates. If you're an 8th grader parent, you really need to have your kids here at this. Preparation class is as close to mandatory as anything else. I want to make sure that they know what they're doing on confirmation day, right? Even though we're gonna have pullouts, this is an important day that they're there. So again, put that on your calendar. Sunday the 19th, the rite of confirmation at the 10:30 service. Tell your family now. This is a great opportunity. We don't see this as much anymore, and I want to encourage you to think about it. Tell your family to come and be a part of this. If they have godparents or sponsors, tell them to come and be a part of this. Get it on their calendar today. Call them up and say, hey, so-and-so's being confirmed on this day. It'd be really great for you to come up and lay hands on them when we do the blessing at confirmation. Confirmation is really the affirmation of baptism. It's a reaffirmation of what the promises God has made to them around their baptism. So it's appropriate that the family comes and lays hands on them. They'll show up. Your family and friends will show up. You'd be amazed at how many people, if you called them up and said, hey, I'd like you to be there, more than likely they're going to come. And it's great to have them surrounded by just a group of family that loves and supports and cares for them. 19th is the day for that. Rehearsal, this is a TBD. I need to think through a little bit more about rehearsal time. Sometimes that works out. It's not been working out the last couple of years. So I might get the 8th grade parents' influence on when a good rehearsal time would be for you. Because Saturday mornings in May are full. May is full in general, but Saturday mornings are full. Want to make sure that we have a good time. Questions? All right. this is the last slide. I'm here for you. So what I say by that is, you have questions, you have thoughts, you have things that you want to talk about more with me about your kids, or you want your kids to talk to me about things, I'm here. So I will be your friend on Facebook, but I barely go on it anymore. Again, when I was talking to some people and I started to actually read the data on it, I've gotten away from all social media for the most part. I think it's damaging, and I think that they have yet to figure it out. And in particular, it's damaging to the teen girls that I work with, and so I'm not part of it very much anymore. I'm on it, but not very much a part of it, and I think we all need to take a bigger look at that. So, but cell phone, email, I'm always here. If you have your cell phones, I want to just encourage you to put that in your contact, because if something major happens in your life and you'd like me to talk to your kid about it, you're not going to want to try to figure out where my phone number is, right? So, or if you get in a, heaven forbid, if you get in a car accident on the way to confirmation, something like that, and you want to get a hold of me quickly, you want to have that number just in your phone. You may never need it, and that would be great. But if you need it, there it is. Text me. I'll say this, like, a lot of people have my number, and I don't have everybody's number. And so if you are texting me, if you would just put your name added into it, it helps me to know who I'm talking to. And I don't have to say, who is this? Somebody trying to sell me car insurance or something like that, you know? Put the cell phone number in, and then also when we go like camp and stuff like that, you'll have access to it. All right, did you want to add anything else in, Kaylee?
I think so.
Okay. This is Kaylee. If you have never met Kaylee, O'Donnell is our coordinator of events and programs, and also works with our youth. So she's there on Mondays with me and Sunday mornings with the kids, and so. All right. That's all I have for you. If you have individual questions, or if you want to talk more about something, or if you want to find a friend right now to be a meal partner with, this is a great time to do that. And we'll go from there. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna check all of that.
Yeah, that's like it. If you want to split it.